Have you ever felt like you've tried everything to change and nothing works? Have you ever got to that point where you're like, why even try this again? In fact, you might be listening to this today and in that space right now. I hear you, Nate, but changing in 7 days, that's foolishness. I've tried everything and I just feel so stuck. I just want you to know that going into this, I understand that. I understand that all too well. There's so many times, more times than I could begin to even tell you. That's been me. That's been the stories of men that come to Fight Club and part of this ministry. And if that's you, just know you're not alone. And today I want to talk about not only that issue of, man, I've tried and failed, and I'm stuck. I want to talk about what we can do to change that. Here's the thing. Here's how this works. You've probably done this a million times too. You've set out to change something. You've tried everything that you can think of. You've read the books. You've prayed about it. You've tried it. You've different things. You've changed it up, right? And none of them stick. Like you start strong. You're like day one, day two, even week one. You're like, dude, this is it. I'm in it. I've eaten right for a week. I've exercised consistently. And then whatever it is, whatever that change is that you're trying to change, you've prayed and you feel like this is it. This is the moment, right? Have you ever been there where you feel like that, where you're like, I feel like this is it. This is the turning point. This is the change for me. And then all of a sudden, you find yourself back here again. You've tried, it works for a minute, life happens, and then you're here. This is where deep frustration sets in. This is where exhaustion sets in. This is where depression sets in. This is where doubt comes in. And here's the thing that happens, and I want you to hear this carefully. When you go through this cycle of, I've tried everything, nothing works, and I'm still in the same spot years later, the place that leads you to is to thinking this message. It must be me. I must be broke. There's something wrong with me. Maybe you have felt that way. And I will tell you that when you get to that point, it feels very true. It feels very real. It's like the fact that you're stuck or in the same spot you've been for so long is, in your mind, at least in my mind, evidence that I am broke. If I wasn't broke, I'd be fixed. Maybe you have felt that way too. So what do? Many of us just quit. We get apathetic, we get lazy, we throw in the towel, whatever it is, right? And then at some point, you start to feel a little bit of motivation. You start to feel a little bit better. And so you start praying again. You're like, I hate feeling this way. So I'm going to try again. I'm going to try harder this time. And then you fail again. You resolve to do better again. You try again. You fail again. And round it goes. Eventually, you say things like, maybe the devil's right. The problem must be me. And I just want you to know, again, that circular conversation is infiltrated continually with messages and narratives that are untrue. What we forget is that you're in a fight. We forget that we're in a battle. We forget that the voice that sounds like your voice in your head is sometimes not your thoughts, that they are put there for other reasons, and lots of ways that could happen. But you have to test every thought. You have to test every idea. And if you don't, it leads to a weariness of trying everything and nothing seems to work. But here's some things that I want you to know. Galatians 6:9 says this, let us not become weary in doing good. Let us not become weary. And weariness isn't a word that we use a lot, but man, we know what it feels like, right? You feel very weary when you're like, man, I've tried, and I find myself in the same stuck position that I started in years ago, right? We all get weary. As a man, you're going to fail. It's going to suck. You're going to start over. You're going to feel terrible about it. But I want you to remember to not get weary in trying and trying again. The guy that fails is the guy that quits for good. The guy that's just done, right? The encouragement to us here is don't become weary in doing good. God does not expect instant change. Now, he does demand complete loyalty. And when you listen to the words that Jesus says, and somebody's, hey, I want to go bury my father. He's, let the spiritually dead bury themselves. You must follow me. If your eye offends you, pluck it out. Like all of these things are conversations that he has had where he demands full loyalty. There is no wishy-washy. There's no half foot in, half foot out. That is true at the same time as he is patient with us. He's long suffering with us. He is kind. He is perfect in his love to us. And so while I think God demands full loyalty and should expect that, right, because of what he's paid for us and done for us, he doesn't at the same time live in such a disconnected way that he doesn't understand what it's like to be human. I think this is one of the most beautiful things about the way that God has done this, that he sent Jesus as God to life, to live life like we have. He was actually a man like us. And what's amazing about that is there's nothing that God doesn't know. But Jesus, the Son, experienced what it was like to be human. And so as he sits at the right hand of his Father, as he sits there on the throne as God himself, fully God, fully man, he is able to say, I know what this is. And I think that's the beautiful part of what I'm trying to say here. He demands loyalty, but he understands humanity, right? I think God is more interested many times in the direction of our life versus the perfection of it. Like he wants us to move towards maturity, towards perfection, knowing we are human and will fail. But obedience is what he's calling for, right? Obedience in that path. And then when it doesn't work and when there are setbacks or failures, or call it what you want, when it doesn't go the way that you thought it should or God thinks it should, that's where we come back into grace. That's where we come back into a motivation to live for him and to live right and to do the right things. But we're trying to be faithful, and God knows when that's genuine and true. Not flashiness, not perfection, but faithfulness.